When you get stuck into the mode of doing whatever you can to support your fertility, it can feel like you are constantly busy. Fitting in appointments, eating right, making sure you take all your supplements, exercising, tracking your cycle. It's endless, and there is always something more you think you should be doing. But what if the opposite was actually true? What if slowing down, doing less, and taking a huge step back could lead you closer to your baby? And how on earth is this supposed to work? Well, in today's episode, we discuss exactly that, how to slow down and receive more. Welcome to your journey to fertility. This is the podcast that blends science with spirit to give you all the tools you need as you navigate your fertility journey. I'm your host, Jennifer Edmonds, and for the last 15 years, I've been helping women on their journeys to motherhood and beyond. I believe that combining the latest scientific research along with the best energetic and mindset practices will help you to avoid putting your life on hold and bring you closer to your baby. Each week, you'll learn ways to support your fertility and trust your body so that you can stop stressing that you'll never have your baby and finally walk your path to motherhood. This is the Your Journey to Fertility podcast. Hello, welcome back to the podcast. I love this topic today. I saw this topic discussed on another podcast that I really love, and not in relation to fertility, but just in relation to life and to healing and to coming into a place that feels better and good for you. So it's something that I think 100% of the people that I've worked with can relate to. The idea of being busy, that doing more is better, getting everything done is something that you have to do in order to ensure that you're going to get pregnant this month. It is really an endless cycle. And a couple of weeks ago, I recorded an episode about stopping this idea of having to do all the things when you are trying to conceive, the endless list of things that we think we have to do. And this follows on really beautifully from that episode. So if you haven't already, I highly recommend that you go back a couple of weeks and listen to that one. But I am a very type A person, and I find slowing down really hard. This is a really good episode for me as well. I love being busy. I love getting things done. And when I was going through my own fertility journey, it did not serve me at all. And I think that for someone who is very type A and loves just to think, okay, well, I'm in control, I can do all of the things. And I'm sure that so many of you can relate to this. When you are struggling with fertility, that actually, it can serve you for an amount of time. And it is actually quite empowering when you learn that there are things that are within your control on this journey, taking a few good supplements and seeing some holistic practitioners and, really looking after your health and your cycle and all these things. It really does feel very empowering. But it gets to the point where when you've done literally everything, you've done everything perfectly, but nothing has worked. What's next? And that leaves you in a very difficult position if you are one of these very type A, very driven people. Because what do you do when everything that you've been doing hasn't been successful and you think, well, what more could I have done? I was in this position exactly. And the only thing that slowed me down, unfortunately/fortunately at that time, was COVID. And the last round of IVF that I did was in March of 2020. And as many of you would well know, all fertility clinics in the world shut down that year, and there was no option for me to continue fertility treatments. And on top of that, all of the other things that I wanted to do to support my fertility, quote unquote, I couldn't do either. I couldn't go to acupuncture. I couldn't go to my fertility massage or my hypnosis sessions and all the other things that I was doing. But COVID was a real turning point for me. It was a forced stop point. It forced me to slow down. And it ended up being a really big gift. But I don't want something as dramatic as that to have to happen to you. I want to be able to share my experiences with slowing down and how I now share all of those tools that I learned along the way with my students and how you can employ them into your own life as well. But first, what is slowing down? And secondly, how does it actually help? I believe that slowing down is about putting yourself first. And I don't mean your fertility. I mean you, your mental health, your whole being. When you prioritize your fertility, it isn't really always about putting yourself first. It can feel like it is, but when you're looking at it as a way to get your body to do something that you want it to do, or to get your body to perform or achieve something, that's not always what's best for you. I think it's about taking stock of what is and isn't working in your life and being really honest with yourself and knowing what needs to change. Because slowing down it's about doing less for other people. I know that we tend to think about slowing down as let's do less in general, but I think you can look at it as a way to do more for yourself, just in a really different way and approaching it from a really different energy. Having space in your day or in your calendar when there is nothing planned, and without feeling guilty, leaving time for rest, and not just sleep, but for active rest. Enjoying a cup of tea, having a slow morning, leaving time to go for a walk outdoors, lay on the couch, watch your favorite show, read a book, and doing all of these things because they feel good for your soul. I love this idea of having a slow morning routine, and I must admit, it is something I still struggle with, but the mornings that I do have a lovely, slower paced morning where I leave that time so I don't have to rush from one thing to the next, it sets me up for such a different day ahead. I've really noticed that what I consume and what I do first thing in the morning really deeply impacts how my whole day unfolds. So paying attention to what you do as soon as you wake up is so important. So why is this so hard? And why is it so important? So how is this actually going to help you? I think that slowing down is so hard because, especially as women, we're taught that our value comes from being productive, from earning more, from achieving more. We are taught that literally more equals more. And if we don't have what we want in life, it's because we need to try harder. And I think that at the beginning, that feels really empowering. As I mentioned, it feels like you have this sense of control and you may see results. And that really spurs you on to keep going. And the problem with getting into this state of busyness is that once you start to see small changes and you think, well, okay, I've got to keep going. I can't stop, because if I stop, I'm going to fail. And that's going to mean I'm not worthy, and all of these things that we tell ourselves. But then we keep ourselves in this perpetual state of go, go, go. And this constant busyness creates dysregulation, chronic dysregulation. And having our bodies and our nervous systems in this chronically dysregulated or stressed state for a long period of time, as we know, has huge implications for your overall health, for your immune system, for your hormones. It can throw your cycle completely out of whack. And we have not evolved to be constantly on the go. Humans are energy conservation beings. Our ancestors spent so much time resting, doing very little. If they could have been scrolling on their phones, I'm sure they would have been, but just conserving energy. So when they really needed it, they could run, they could fight, they could go hunting. They were never on the go for 16 or more hours a day, which we so often are. So how does slowing down actually help you achieve more? This is one of my favorite things to talk about because it sounds so counterintuitive, doesn't it? You think, well, how can doing less get me more of what I want? And it's still really hard to get your head around. But cutting out all of the noise that this busyness creates allows you to really listen to what your intuition is telling you. When you can't hear all of that mind chatter that's going on, and knowing that I've got to be here and I've got to do this and I've got to listen to this and I've got these emails that I have to reply to and I've got 1,000 things on my to-do list. When you cut out all of that noise, the things that you can learn about yourself and what your body is trying to tell you and what is coming through from your intuition is incredible. I've shared lots of practices before on the podcast for cutting out the noise and listening to your intuition. But my favorite one is just to set a timer. I often set my timer for 11 minutes on my phone, and I put that on airplane mode. And for those 11 minutes, I just follow my breath. And you're not going to be able to follow your breath consistently for 11 minutes. Thoughts are going to come, thoughts are going to go, and that's okay. But it's about recognizing them, noticing what's trying to pull your attention, and then without getting carried away with it. So always coming back to what is the noise that's trying to fill up my mind, and how can I let it go? And the things that can come up when you find that stillness, when you find those moments of silence, are incredible. Slowing down allows time for physical and mental rest, and it avoids burnout. I'm sure all of us have had that horrible experience where you've been planning an awesome holiday for months and months. You're working really hard. You're getting everything done to close off what you need to get done at work before you go on your holiday. Finally, off you go and you get sick. This is no coincidence that your immune system has been running on adrenaline for a really long time. And the moment you give your body a chance to rest, the floodgates open, and everything that your body has been desperately trying to hold and keep upright for you just falls down. And that is a classic sign of burnout. And other things that we start to notice are things like insomnia and overwhelm and inability to stay focused and concentrate at work, and all of these things that make us just feel like our lives are on this constant hamster wheel. Slowing down helps us to manifest more of what we want because it puts us into the energy of receiving. I have a podcast episode planned for a couple of weeks' time where we're going to go a little deeper into manifestation. It's something I don't think we've talked about enough or more recently enough. And this is something that, we think about manifesting as okay, I've got to sit down today and do my manifesting. You can't really set aside 10 minutes a day to manifest what you want. You are manifesting 100% of the time throughout your life. Every moment of every day, you are manifesting. And where you place your attention is where your energy will follow. So if you're constantly putting your attention on this, I've got to get this done, I've got to be busy, all of the things I've got to fit in, I need to stay on this perpetual hamster wheel, that is where your energy flows. But putting ourselves into that place of receiving, of being able to slow down and say, I'm going to allow myself an hour today to do absolutely nothing for the one and only reason that it feels good. And then I'm going to feel better for having done so. I'm going to say no to this social event that I probably should go to, these friends I haven't caught up with for a long time, but no, do you know what? Today, I'm actually going to put myself first. Your nervous system recognizes slowness as safety. It feels so good to slow down, to put yourself first, to have space in your life. And because that feels good for no other reason, that means we attract more of where we are putting that energy. So having that space for yourself allows you then to open up creative channels within your mind and within your body. The part of your brain that is responsible for creativity literally shuts down when you are anxious or in that stressed or fight or flight state. And the opposite is true as well. So when you are in that beautiful creative flow, and whether it is doing exercise that you love, or writing or journaling, or being with a friend that you haven't caught up with for a long time, and you are just enjoying the moment and creating that experience, the part of your brain that lights up when you are in that creative space physically switches off the part of the brain that's activated when you are anxious and stressed. So by slowing down and allowing time and space for more things that you love, they're going to end up canceling each other out. And so you can come into that place of slowing down more easily. So how do we slow down? This is really important to note that stillness can sometimes remind your nervous system of something that isn't safe. Because when we are talking about the fight or flight response, the other side to that is sometimes the freeze or the shutdown response. So the freeze response is a combination of, I need to do this, I need to get this done, but I can't, I'm stuck, I don't know what to do, I'm panicking, I'm frozen, I know I need to do something, but I can't. And then shut down is that dorsal state, that state where your nervous system says, there's nothing we can do to save ourselves in this situation. It's too overwhelming. I've had enough and I'm going to go into dissociation. I'm going to shut down and I'm done. So if you've ever had either of those responses in a difficult, a traumatic, or a very stressful situation, being very still and very slow can trigger that response. And that doesn't feel good. So just imagine you are being chased by a pack of lions. If you were to sit down and meditate in that moment, do you think that your brain would say, cool, let's do this. Let's sit down. Let's let the lions come to us. No, your brain would be like sirens going, alarms blaring. No, you need to run. You need to get out of there. So if putting yourself into a place of physical stillness doesn't feel good for your body, if you feel very agitated, you can't sit still, you find that you can't even close your eyes, know that sometimes physical stillness isn't exactly what you need. So in times like this, it might be useful to go for a brisk walk, get outside. As I've spoken about so often, being in nature is a wonderful, wonderful regulating tool for your nervous system. Other practices like shaking, yoga, anything that gets you into your body and helps you disperse a little bit of that energy is what you're going to need. So movement sometimes is your gateway into slowing down. So remember that only when and once your body feels safe will you be able to then slow down mentally. So we need that kind of physical slowness before we can come into that mental slowness. And the last thing that I want to say about this is it isn't going to happen every day. We're not cave people anymore. We have jobs and traffic jams and fertility appointments and emails from your boss at 6 o'clock in the morning. But it's about finding moments, finding routine, finding little rituals that soothe you and help you slow down, and know that this isn't going to look the same every day. One of my most favorite things, as I mentioned, is to have a morning routine. And it really is true that where you place your attention as soon as you wake up really sets the tone for the rest of the day. So if I can give you any advice from this podcast, and I'm going to go through a few ways that you can fit in slowness into your day, but if you're going to take away any of them, it would be this one: to have a look at what you do in the morning, especially first thing in the morning, and how can you carve out a little bit more time for yourself. And if that means getting up 10 or 15 minutes earlier, then maybe that's what you need to do. And as a self-confessed non-morning person, I know that's not easy for all of us. But where can you give yourself back a little bit of space? Just take 10 minutes to enjoy your tea or your coffee and look out the window. Watch birds flying past. Watch the sky starting to brighten. Anything that brings you into stillness, slowness, and the present moment is incredibly important. Maybe you are someone who feels good to get up and meditate. Maybe you like to journal first thing in the morning. Anything that gets you into a place of calm to set you up for the day. And then as you get into your day, as we all know, we can't stop the way that the world is going to keep turning. But where can we find these little moments throughout our day? So instead of eating lunch at your desk, at your computer, or whilst you're scrolling your phone, can you go to a cafe, have a chat with a friend or a coworker? Can you go outside, get some fresh air, put your phone away as much as possible during meal times? Other ways we can find slowness: leave your phone when you need to go to the bathroom. Don't take your phone with you to the toilet. It encourages you to speed up your mental processes when you are just going through a very simple bodily process. And I think that anything that takes you away from your body, when you have that opportunity to really tune in with what's going on, isn't something that's going to help you. Other things that you can do, like I said, can you give yourself an opportunity to actively rest without guilt? And without guilt is the biggest part that I want you to take away from that. So put your favorite TV show on, come home from work, have a cup of tea, enjoy something that you love as a snack, and just Give yourself that time to do absolutely nothing. Try not to scroll your phone while you're watching TV. That is a really dysregulating thing for your nervous system to be pulled in two different directions at once, whilst they're both stimulating activities on their own. Where else can you find some slowness with your meal times? So instead of shoveling down your lunch or your dinner as quick as possible, can you sit there and actually enjoy what you're eating, taking time to chew your food? Maybe you use your meal times as a way to connect with your partner or a friend, or just to give you some time back for yourself. And then equally as important, I think, as a morning routine is your evening routine. And again, the first thing that needs to go is your phone. As much as you can in the evening, at least an hour before you go to bed, put that phone away, read a book, find something that makes you feel a little more calm, whether that's restorative yoga, a little bit of meditation, just getting into bed and enjoying that feeling of coming into rest. So I hope that some of these tips have been helpful for you today. I love slowing down, and as I get older, I think it is one of life's great gifts to be able to give ourselves back space and time. I have spent my entire life being busy, and I still am very busy, but I don't think I ever appreciated moments of slowness as much as I do now. So if you have found this episode helpful, please share your thoughts with me. If you haven't found it helpful, share your thoughts with me. I love hearing your feedback. Either way, it always just gives me encouragement to keep improving and keep working on the topics and the things that you want to hear on this podcast. And if you're not already, please subscribe to the channel. Leave a quick review. It is the absolute best way for me to spread the word and to share all of these episodes with as many people as possible. And I look forward to seeing you on the next episode of the podcast. Next week, I am speaking with Jenna Kavadas, who is a fertility therapist, and she has such a beautiful approach to supporting both your mental and emotional health in terms of your relationship when you're trying to conceive. Something that really does suffer, I think, for so many of us when we're on this journey is that deep relationship with our partner. So I can't wait to have you back for that episode next week. As always, if you want to leave me a quick voice note, you can do so via the link below. If you have a question that you would like answered on the podcast, that is a wonderful way to go ahead and ask that question. And in the meantime, I am sending you all my wishes as you continue your own journey to fertility. The most common thing I hear from students who are on their fertility journey is that the stress of trying to conceive has taken over their life. Your days end up being filled with endless appointments, navigating pregnancy announcements. You're trying to eat right, take all your supplements, and it is all you think about from the moment you wake up. I designed the Element Fertility Yoga course to support your body, your mind, and your mental health in 3 important ways: to synchronize your hormones, increase circulation and blood flow, and to help regulate your nervous system. But on top of this, the greatest gift that you can give yourself throughout this journey is a sense of peace, to help you calm your mind and just make this process feel easier. Every single one of my students tell me that this is the first thing they notice after starting a yoga, meditation, and breathwork practice. But on top of this, you have the amazing benefit of actually supporting and increasing your fertility. Studies have shown that those participating in mind-body programs as they're trying to conceive have success rates 3 times greater than those who don't. The course I've designed walks you through natural conception as well as fertility treatments and IVF cycles. And the best part is you can work through it at your own pace in the comfort of your home. The practices start from just 10 minutes per day. To learn more, visit elementpilatesyoga.com or see the link in the show notes.